malani o ke auka.
Yala, e kono o mai ke awaiki, e kipa e nā mea, e moko lau kanaka, e waina e hoi e kini, hei ki aloha nā wai. Kapua hoi owe, Namaho, Eyala, Ekono, Amai, Ke Amaiki, Ekipa, Enamea, Eho'o, Lau Kanaka, E Maina, Emoine, Eakini, Eiki Aloha, Hawaii. Eyala, Egono, Amai, Ke Amaiki, Ekipa, Enamea, Eho'o, Lau Kanaka, E Waina, Emoine, Iahini, Keiki Aloha, Hawaii. so I can treasure each moment that we share. For tonight belongs to you, and when you say in your Hawaiian way, I love you too. They say that the moon will shine down upon you when you say in your Hawaiian way, I love you too. We were stars tonight when I hold you tight. Seems to say in your Hawaiian way, I love you too. As the train slowly closer, so I can treasure each moment that we share. For tonight belongs to you and I. When you say in your Hawaiian way, I love you too. When you say in your Hawaiian way, I love you too.
I'll remember you long after this and the summer is gone. I'll be lonely, oh so lonely, living only to remember. I'll remember too your voice is soft as a warm summer breeze. Your sweet laughter, mornings ever after, I'll remember too.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like you to begin to take your seats at this time. Once again, we ask you to begin to take your seats at this time. 5-minute warning.
After this and the summer is gone, I'll be lonely, oh so lonely, living only to remember. I'll remember too your voice is soft as a warm summer breeze. Your sweet laughter, mornings after, ever after, I'll remember to your arms someday. I'll return to stay till
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like you to begin to take your seats at this time.
Jennifer.
On my way. Oh, okay, fine. Good.
How are you?
I'll walk down the center. You walk on left shoulder. I think it just
Still on our leases and then affect the
yeah. I think the way to
E na hoa waka waka mai, Hawaii nui o ke awia hiki ni hau ka helelani, na kamaaina, na malihini, na ohana o Honolulu, aloha. For those of you that do not speak Olelo Hawaii, hi. My name is Billy V. It is my pleasure to be the Master of Ceremonies for tonight's event. Please, a nice round of applause for Royal Hawaiian Band's Glee Club. Welcome to Mayor Blangiardi's 6th State of the City Address. Before we begin with tonight's program, we'd like to take a few moments to recognize some special guests that we have in attendance with us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, the Governor of the State of Hawaii, Josh Green. Members of Mayor Blangiardi's Senior Administration and Managing Director, Mike Formby. Deputy Managing Director, Krishna Jairam. Chief of Staff, Andy Sug. Members of the Honolulu City Council led by Chair Tommy Waters. Vice Chair, Andrea Tupola. Council members, Radiant Cordero. Matt Ware. Val Okimoto. Tyler Dos Santos Tam. And Scott Nishimoto. Honolulu Prosecuting Attorney, Steve All. Former governors, Linda Legal. Former governor, Neil Abercrombie. County mayors, Kauai County, Mayor Derek Kawakami. Maui County Mayor Richard Bissett. Hawaii County Mayor Kimo Alameda. We are also honored to have representatives from Hawaii's congressional delegation with us this evening. Please join me in thanking them for being here and for continuously supporting our city and our state. From the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, Vice Chair Keone Souza. Consul General Talbo of the Republic of the Philippines. Acting Consul General Kim of Korea. Consul General Naito of Palau. Deputy Consul General Haruta of Japan. And Director General Chang of Taipei Economic Cultural Office. Before we continue, I want to take a moment to recognize something that is truly here in Hawaii, but perhaps feels even more important given the uncertainty that we feel around the world today. Our islands are home to one of the most strategically important military commands anywhere on the planet. The men and women who serve here help safeguard stability across the Indo-Pacific region, and we are deeply grateful that so many of them call Hawaii home. Tonight, we are honored to be joined by several distinguished military leaders. Major General Christopher Farrow, United States Air Force Mobilization Assistant to the Commander, U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. Vice Commander Rear Admiral Joaquin Martinez de Peños, U.S. Pacific Fleet. Colonel Rachel Sullivan, Commander, U.S. Army Garrison, Hawaii. Colonel Jeremy Bavin, Commander, United States Marine Corps Base, Hawaii. Retired Major General Mark Hashimoto, Executive Director, U.S. Marine Corps Pacific. Retired Major General Susie Veris Lum, Director of the Daniel K. Inouye Asia Pacific Center for Security Studies. To each of you and to the service members and families you represent, mahalo for your commitment and your leadership and your service to Hawaii and to our nation. This year, the Honolulu Fire Department proudly celebrates its 175th anniversary. Founded in 1851 by King Kamehameha III, it is the oldest fire department west of the Mississippi River. Please rise for those who are able for the posting of the colors by the Honolulu Fire Department Honor Guard. The Honor Guard is led into the auditorium this evening by the Celtic Pipes and Drums of Hawaii.
Regimental set, quick, march.
remain standing for the singing of our national anthem and Hawaii Pono'i. Performing the national anthem and Hawaii Pono'i this evening is Mr. Kalai Stir.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets round loud, the guns bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing us that star-spangled banner yet wave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Hawaii,
Ladies and gentlemen, now Hoku winner Kalai Stir. Please remain standing as we retire the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, please, nice round of applause to the Honolulu Fire Department Honor Guard and the Celtic Heights. Please be seated. Opening our program this evening will be Kumu Hinale Moana Wang Kalu, Ambassador of Culture Hawaiian Council, along with Hale Le Moana. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we'd like to turn your attention to the monitors on the stage.
Each day, as the sun comes up over Oʻahu, we embrace the challenge before us to collaborate, to contribute, to create. Our leadership team is working across departments and directly with our community members to make a difference in our neighborhoods.
So this will be our pride and joy of our community.
We are working on a new full-size public pool in Kahuku to serve the North Shore. We are working with public and private partners to build more housing units across Oʻahu.
Hollywood has given us a place that we can call home. You see, every day when I get up, I thank God that He has blessed me. Because it looks like, you know, we belong in this like high class over here. I mean, it's so beautiful.
The next stop is Oʻahu.
Skyline is now running from Kapolei to Kalihi.
When the Skyline opened up at the airport, I figured that would be my best way to get to work on time. And ever since I took my first ride, I have not driven back to work since.
We launched an innovative emergency medical technician training program with Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health Center.
And this academy really is about building emergency responders from within our own community. And all 12 of you come from the leeward side or have leeward ties. And that's just not meaningful, that's really something powerful.
I never knew this would be possible for us, so I'm truly grateful.
We are improving our beloved parks with new investments and more upgrades to come.
The rink went pretty unused for quite a while, and it was kind of bust up when we got here. Things are run down, overgrown. So when we got here to restart it and to see it grow and see kids again, see the kids playing again, and even the dads can play with their buddies that they grew up playing with.
We are lifting up our local entrepreneurs and helping them forge their path forward.
To have that support, knowing that it was part of the community that I lived in, which was Waianae, Nanakuli side. It was a free program, and the support was, you know, there anytime that I needed, a phone call away.
We are going above and beyond to build a new preschool and providing a temporary home for Seagull schools while construction is underway, so families can have peace of mind.
So I was at the old campus when I was in preschool too, so it was a little, you know, we were a little nervous when we found out they were going to move locations. but everything has been really great so far. The kids love this new facility. They have all new things, and it was really great that the city was able to accommodate the kids and just give them this really awesome space.
We are providing resources for people who were once homeless so they can turn their lives around.
So I was able to come in, I was able to get on a computer to build a resume back up again, to see what was out there, you know, and start with a clean slate. Today I was just sitting on my bed, and you know, my bed is still on the floor. My living room is empty, but my house and my heart is full.
Our work is about problem solving.
We can interrupt that cycle of streets, ER, back to the streets.
Understanding the issue.
So this process that we built here represents a major upgrade to the treatment plants.
Finding a solution.
So it's a very effective way of using our resources to deliver these services.
Making a decision.
So we took a hard look at what we're going to start and what we're going to finish.
Having the courage to stand by it.
This isn't just about law enforcement, it's personal to me.
It was a tough decision, but it was the right decision.
And the resolve to complete it.
This property has been vacant for the last 20 years and decaying. It's been attracting all the wrong elements, and that ends today.
Our work is about creating capability, developing the skills and acquiring the tools needed to protect our residents and visitors in the face of unknown and unpredictable dangers.
Any member of the community that's depending on us for rescue is going to be safely brought on board.
And find the right people to get the job done. Our work is about building relationships across government at all levels.
That aloha spirit is ingrained in the DNA of America.
Elevating local businesses.
See an extra 50, 60 people a day, which means about 3 to 4 jobs.
Partnering with our nonprofits.
People are able to come right off the skyline as they get off of work, come here, our mobile pantry is here.
Developing international friendships.
Now, friendship between our people be like the strands of the fiber in the woven mat.
And caring for our residents. Our work is about innovation.
Clean energy means affordable energy.
Inspiration.
We get to share the love and joy of music.
Creativity.
In this nexus between transportation and art, we hope to just see that blossom with the hands and the minds and really the spirits of our local artists and our local communities.
Driving progress.
We own it from the beginning all the way to the end.
And modernizing the city.
DAT has gone through great lengths to make it as easy as possible for our residents to report issues using this app.
Our work is about effectively and efficiently managing the day-to-day operations that make a world-class city function, allowing our family, friends, and neighbors to live, work, and play, and to enjoy the things that make our home so special. Our work is about leadership.
The future is better than the past.
Taking responsibility, delivering results. It's about changing the trajectory of the city, restoring trust and confidence in city government. That trust is earned through consistency, through action and deed. We see the challenge before us clearly. We've challenged ourselves to confront it with the confidence earned through our capability as a team. That's our commitment, because we are who we say we are. We are who you need us to be, and we do what we say we will do, because that is what you deserve.
The 15th Mayor of the City and County of Honolulu, the Honorable Rick Blangiardi.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, good evening and aloha. To our distinguished guests, our committed city employees, and those of you at home with your families,
Thank you for joining us tonight. Many of you heard me describe this role as mayor as the leadership challenge, responsibility, and privilege of a lifetime. And I especially want to acknowledge the person whose love and support I could not do this job without, my wife, Karen. Karen, I am so grateful for your wisdom and wise counsel, no matter how much and how difficult the situation. And for that, and much, much more, I love you. Okay. Late last week, our island faced a very real and legitimate threat as a Kona low storm brought heavy rains and devastating winds to all parts of the state. With the system now behind us, I want to give a heartfelt mahalo to those of you who took responsibility, who took action, and who helped friends and neighbors in their time of need. These are times when we must all band together for the safety and well-being of one another. To our many city departments that answered the call, clearing streams, removing trees, and keeping our island running, all I can say is great work, great work. And to our emergency management and first responder agencies, thank you for keeping us safe through this storm and the storms to come. Thank you. If you bear with me, Governor Green, I know the weekend you had 3 mayors, Mayor Alameda, Mayor Bisson, Mayor Kawakami. I know what you've been through. The fact that you guys are in the room tonight is amazing. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Appreciate it. Now, I'm not going to have the opportunity to mention many of the people in the audience tonight, but I especially want to acknowledge our partners at Honolulu Hale, the members of our City Council. Thank you for your collaboration and dedication to our communities. This is my 6th State of the City. I have never been more proud or confident in the leadership team we've assembled over the course of the past 5 years. To the members of our cabinet, our directors and deputies, your contributions and your sacrifices are truly immense. Our collective success is because of all of you, all of you. Would all of you please now stand and be recognized? Please stand up, be recognized. Thank you. This is a great team. Together, we are prepared to have our strongest and most effective year yet as we go about attacking the many difficult and significant challenges facing the city and county of Honolulu and our residents. Now, there's no denying that amongst those challenges, there is none greater and none more consequential to the people of Hawaii than our affordability crisis. So tonight, I want to talk about cost of living. In fact, with a few exceptions, it's all I want to talk about. Of all the islands in our state, Oʻahu is experiencing the greatest decline in population. And for those battling the prospect of outmigration, the scarcity of affordable housing is what scares people more than anything. And I can assure you, we will address that tonight. But housing is far from the only factor at play. Simply put, time is money. And from our perspective, with regard to the cost of living, everything we do in city government has a nexus to affordability. Across all economic sectors, in all city departments, any delay caused by unnecessary bureaucracy, overregulation, or inefficiency makes living in Hawaii more costly and challenging for our residents. Systemic barriers within government at all levels, added over time, slow our progress and drive up costs for our residents. This moment demands a higher level of leadership. And tonight, I want to talk about more than just individual projects. I want to focus on how we are restructuring the underlying systems that hold us back. Our ultimate priority must be to keep our residents here. We can keep costs down by reducing red tape, by modernizing our operations, by running a government that is part of the solution and not part of the problem. That is government's duty, and that is our obligation to our people. Our administration is relentlessly focused on the real-world impacts our efforts have on our families and our workers, particularly when it comes to affordability. Now, together in partnership with the City Council, we must ensure that the way we do business, our processes at the city, never overburden our people. Outmigration is driven by two things. One is affordability. How challenging it is for residents to pay for housing, utilities, gas in their car, and the food on their table. And the other is economic opportunity. How challenging it is for residents to find good-paying jobs and maximize their earning potential. Now, I want to talk about affordability first, especially as it pertains to housing. I want to focus on what we are doing to speed up the delivery of housing on Oʻahu. Every day, month, and year, a project is delayed for unnecessary regulation or processes, takes jobs out of our challenging economy, and it pushes construction off to a date in the future when everything will be more expensive. And these increased costs don't just disappear. They land squarely on families who are trying to afford a place to live, trying to stay in Hawaii. After nearly 3 decades without a dedicated housing department, the city officially stood up our Department of Housing and Land Management in May of 2025. Every day since, DHLM has focused on the most important priority of this generation, having a house that you can afford. When we said a year ago, we're going to activate underutilized city lands for housing in a way we had never done before, we meant it. And our housing department is doing it. Development partners have been selected for 90% of the properties we discussed on this stage last year, with more than 2,500 units in the works. And just last week, we announced a development partner for the D-Light Bakery site in Kalihi, the future home of at least 150 units of transit-connected rental housing. So as we look to further activate lands, our data office is compiling the first ever searchable database of all city properties to evaluate potential parcels for even more affordable housing development. Something that might seem simple, but was made remarkably difficult and complicated when the housing department was dissolved back in 1998. When we said a year ago we were going to establish a housing platform geared towards results rather than rhetoric, we meant it, and our housing department is doing it. 65 land transactions, including housing development, property acquisitions, and financing deals, are currently underway, showcasing an expertise and transactional competency the city has never had before. One of those transactions is especially meaningful. A year ago tonight, we announced the city's plans to acquire property at Sharks Cove, to build a base of operations for our first responders on the North Shore. And tonight, I'm pleased to report that all parties have signed the purchase sale agreement for that property, effective today. Yeah. Denise Antolini and the crowd of thousands you brought to my office, that's for you. We're really very happy. We're really excited about this and for our first responders. When we said a year ago that we were going to transform Evil into a world-class TOD community, we meant it, and our housing department is doing it. This summer, we will make additional offers to acquire even more land surrounding Evil Center, so we can master plan the entire community. 3,000 new housing units, complete streets, outdoor spaces, bike lanes, all connected to rail, to stores, and to community resources where our residents can thrive for less. If we want to keep costs low and housing prices affordable, transit-oriented development is our best opportunity. But we won't ever make housing truly affordable unless we also tackle Oahu's immense regulatory burden, which UHERO has identified principally as the cost of infrastructure. Right now, our island's infrastructure handles wastewater, stormwater, drinking water, and utilities, and building that infrastructure is the largest impediment to new housing development. Infrastructure projects come with significant costs, and when those costs are borne by developers, it raises the price of development, including the price of housing. So at the legislature this year, the city is supporting a constitutional amendment that would allow counties to capture natural increases in property tax revenue when parcels are developed, and use that revenue to help pay for infrastructure. But even now, our infrastructure departments are addressing development needs on both city and state lands in places like Ivalai and Halava, where economic growth around rail stations can help offset those infrastructure costs. Now, the city is also taking the lead on zoning changes around Skyline stations, taking the burden away from developers and saving them years of pre-development work. Transit-oriented communities depend on mixed-use developments, with grocery stores and pharmacies at ground level and housing built above with greater height limits. But we need to enact zoning changes to allow this kind of development. Now, if the city can initiate this process, we can do it for entire neighborhoods, instead of leaving developers to try and rezone one parcel at a time. This helps projects move faster, and time is money. I want to thank the Honolulu City Council for making a really good decision last month when they passed Bill 60, allowing us to begin planning extensions to the Skyline system. Expanding Skyline further into town and further west into Kapolei will be an investment in transit, affordable housing, and quality of life. It will be an investment towards thousands of housing units in our urban core and thousands of jobs so people can afford those homes. And if we want to keep the country, keep ag lands in agricultural hands, we have to focus development where it makes the most sense, along the rail line. To wait years before even planning rail extensions will only add hundreds of millions of dollars to future construction costs, a sum that would be passed on to future generations. When we concentrate housing near transit, we reduce traffic, we reduce commute times, and we give families back hours of their lives every week. And we lower the cost of living. Later this month, Skyline's trek into downtown truly begins. The first guideway column along Nimitz Highway will be poured near Aloha Tower just from a couple of days from now, with columns near OCCC to soon follow. And like the guideway, enthusiasm will only build from there. And we're already seeing that enthusiasm in record numbers aboard the trains that are currently running. Now, outside of transit-oriented development, another approach that has worked well for the city is Bill 7, which centers around smaller projects in neighborhoods where infrastructure already exists. For generations, walk-up cinder block apartments define neighborhoods like McCully and Mo'iliili, giving local families, including my own family more than 60 years ago, a way to put down roots in our urban core. But over time, the cost of land and construction began to favor larger developments with more units to help projects make financial sense. So in 2019, Bill 7's purpose was to bring back higher quality, small projects by building in neighborhoods that already have utilities and infrastructure, thereby reducing the cost of construction. Now, over time, we've worked with the City Council to improve the program by refining the rules and adjusting the incentives. And our changes are starting to show results. Today, 189 units have been delivered to the market. 17 projects with 571 units planned are under construction. And 35 more projects are in review, representing the potential for an additional 1,700 housing units in our urban core. So another pivot away from the past and toward a new future is to take a hard look at our affordable housing requirements. When developers receive taxpayer funds to incentivize housing construction, those developers must produce a certain number of below-market homes that the middle class can afford, in addition to market rate units. But if these requirements are not calibrated carefully and projects don't pencil out, a policy meant to create affordable housing can end up making it harder to build any housing. Consequently, we've partnered with UHERO to take a data-driven look at all of our housing policies to make sure they are working for us and not against us. So here's an example. Right now, when we're processing affordable housing projects, the city and state disagree on where to draw the line between affordable and market rate units, as well as the number of units that need to be affordable. Now, this is a policy difference that makes absolutely no sense. If we're serious about solving our housing crisis, we have to be willing to change rules that are not working, and we have to do it smartly. We have to be willing to deregulate smartly and prioritize speed without sacrificing safety. We have to partner with the building industry, not work against it. We have to crowdsource ideas to get feedback from those of you who actually build housing. And we have to share ownership of the solutions. Our housing department is actively working with more developers right now than we have ever done in the past, because we cannot build housing alone. We need everyone pulling in the same direction. And we need the private sector. And we need the state. We need to be better at coordinating public land use, infrastructure problems, and housing finance so we can move projects faster with greater certainty. And when the city and state are aligned, we reduce friction. We lower costs to deliver homes for local families. Now, when we talk about building housing faster, we are talking about building all kinds of housing faster. When developers build more market rate units, people move up. When we add supply at the top, families can move into bigger or newer homes, creating availability all the way down the housing market. Now look, that's just basic economics. Every new unit we build, no matter the price, eases pressure on the entire market and lowers costs at every level. Now, our residents believe our priorities are in order. Polling released earlier this year asked more than 900 people what they thought about housing, and the results could not have been more clear. 71% said we needed to build more housing as quickly as possible. 75% said they believe government red tape was a barrier to getting things done. And 79% said we should build more homes and shops and create more jobs near bus and skyline stations. Now look, we agree with all of that. Overwhelmingly, our residents say they want us to make difficult decisions, to support bold solutions so that they can afford to stay in Hawaii. And this is what we're delivering: faster timelines, lower costs, more help with infrastructure, because our families don't need more housing plans. They need more homes, and they need them now. You know, we cannot build ourselves out of a housing crisis if bureaucracy and inefficiency keep adding months or millions to projects across the island. Historically, one of the known obstacles to efficient government has been the Department of Planning and Permitting. Our administration took on this challenge in 2021 and committed ourselves to solving this wicked problem. I stand by what I said last year about building a permitting process as fast as anywhere in the country. And I believe in our strategy, and I believe in our team at DPP to get the job done. The finances alone of what is at stake could not be more clear. Last year, DPP approved a record $3.3 billion worth of construction permits. And every one of those permits represents a high-paying job being created for someone, a new business being built, or a family finding a place to live. And the faster we can issue permits, the more we can invest back into our local economy, helping us keep construction costs low, housing prices affordable, and our residents here in Hawaii. When we talked about DPP last year, we were hard at work replacing a dying system. And last summer, we did exactly that when we launched HNL Build. And this year, our attention is on the user experience, because even though technology changes fast, people do not. Most importantly, we are investing heavily in training, support, and confidence building to improve the HNL Build experience for all customers, and especially our staff. Modernization only works if the people using new systems feel comfortable doing so. And our culture, our processes, and our training programs are still very much a work in progress. But even if we install the most advanced software available on the best machines we can buy, We accomplish nothing if our employees don't know how to use it, or worse yet, if they resist using it. So, in our opinion, modernization applies even more to culture than it does to computers. Across the city, and especially at departments like DPP, we are working to build a culture that embraces change, instead of one that fights it. Now, the hard truth is that every day one of our departments clings to an outdated process. Is another day families spend waiting, and our families cannot afford to wait. DPP has deployed AI tools like CivCheck to improve plans that are being submitted before they ever reach a human for inspection. And later this summer, CivCheck will also be available for commercial projects. Every plan that is first reviewed by AI Assist makes our work at DPP more efficient, speeding up review times, eliminating review cycles, and most of all, lowering costs. We also believe in transparency at every step of the process. The days of review timelines with no accountability are over. With H&L Build, applicants know if their plans are with their design professional, with DPP, or with another agency. And H&L Build lets us track that data so we can work with each stakeholder and improve their workflow. And finally, we need design professionals to hold up their end of the deal. Design by permitting cannot be the status quo. Plans cannot go through 8, 9, or 10 review cycles. Every poorly drawn plan that requires multiple reviews slows down the process for everyone. With H&L Build, applicants can see where the ball is in their court, even if their design professional says it isn't. Because if accountability is good for us at the city, it's good for everyone. You know, sometimes we forget that half of what DPP does has nothing to do with building permit applications, half of what they do. Launching H&L Build has been a monumental undertaking, one of the biggest challenges of our administration. And I want to thank Donna Puna and Brian Gallagher and the entire team at DPP for all of their hard work and commitment that went into this new system. It was incredible. H&L Build took more than 60 different permitting or licensing functions away from paper copies, away from trips to the Fosse building, and into the digital age. Address changes, third-party reviews, short-term rental registrations, shoreline zone permits, and payments for each of those services can now be done online, instead of walking in a paper check. Everything you can apply for through DPP is now available in H&L Build, cutting down on the time that residents spend trying to navigate essential city services. Every hour saved is money saved for residents, for families, and for businesses trying to grow. We are delivering a system that is easier to use, more efficient to manage, and capable of issuing permits faster. Because the faster we can get permits out, the lower we keep costs, and the more people we keep on Oʻahu. Now, as we fight every day to bring down housing costs, UHERO data shows us that outmigration is driven by job opportunity as much as it is affordability. That for those thinking about leaving, higher wages matter just as much as lower costs. When wage growth stalls, when residents can't find jobs, our economy starts to lag behind the rest of the U.S., magnifying Hawaii's cost of living challenges. When we took office 5 years ago, it took the city an average of 6 months to hire a single employee. That's 180 days. That was just completely unacceptable. So we empowered our Department of Human Resources to tear apart the process. We gave them the tools and the authority to move faster, and the results speak for themselves. Despite an extremely tight job market with the second lowest unemployment rate in America, the city's vacancy rate amongst our core departments is the lowest it's been in more than 5 years. And for the 4th straight fiscal year, we are reporting net positive employee growth. That's the first time in 25 years. Within the city, we have worked to raise pay for hard-to-hire professions. We had to do that, including engineers and medical professionals, to help us stay competitive in the job market. We were just not there. For those seeking jobs outside the city, our Good Jobs Oʻahu program has been a resounding success, helping nearly 6,000 people increase household income through training for careers in sectors like healthcare and clean energy. And separately, the DCS American Job Center, our federally funded workforce training hub, supported an additional 4,000 people last year with case management that also includes pathways to housing for many of our clients. And later this year, we'll begin rolling out the city's first small business loan fund to help local entrepreneurs get off the ground and grow their ideas here at home, helping to employ more local residents. Now, we will continue to be aggressive about hiring and workforce development because we know there are challenging economic times ahead. UHERO data is projecting slow growth in jobs and wages over the next few years. And with our residents tightening their belts more than ever, city government has to do the same. Earlier this month, we proposed a city budget that was $133 million less than last year. And balancing that budget is only going to get harder when you factor in the loss of federal funds. Over the past 5 years, the city received almost $900 million in supplemental federal dollars, all tied primarily to COVID relief. Those funds are no longer available to us at a time when everything is going to get more expensive. Over the next 4 years, the cost of collective bargaining increases alone will outpace the city's projected economic growth. That's staggering. And let me just be clear, those wage increases are a good thing for our workers and for the economy, but it also makes for a very real challenge when we balance the budget. So if we're truly committed to not raising property taxes, which I want to say right now as emphatically as I can, we will not raise property taxes under my watch as long as I'm mayor. City government needs to do more with less. And across the city, we are modernizing the tools our employees use so they can work faster, smarter, and more efficiently. In the upcoming fiscal year, our countywide adoption of Microsoft 365 will include Copilot AI, a tool that will help us automate tasks and analyze data across the city. We are focused on implementing AI that can handle repetitive assignments, manual data entry, routine calls, so that our employees can focus on the work that requires a human touch. Last fall, our Department of Customer Services deployed a voice AI system to handle phone calls from the public about routine city services. For example, like, when does my trash get picked up? Or where can I pay my taxes? That AI system is already handling 40% of those calls. And our employees now spend their time helping residents with complex issues, instead of answering simple questions over and over again. Now, a similar tool is available on the city website too, providing real-time answers to questions about driver's licenses and car registrations. And we've even expanded our use of AI to pay utility bills for our city buildings, another example of a repetitive task that can be automated smartly. And even HPD is exploring AI that would assist our officers with writing reports, enabling them to get back on patrol faster. Now, I think and hope that everyone in this room knows that the future is now, especially when it comes to AI. We are committed to smart modernization. And I want to say something directly to our employees. I know that some of the technology tools designed to save time and improve efficiency concern you. So let me be clear about one thing. There will be no AI-related job cuts while I am mayor. AI is here so we can do more to help our neighbors, more to keep Oʻahu affordable. We are not cutting jobs, but we are cutting waste. And when we cut waste, we work faster. And when we work faster, we lower cost for everyone. Now, if you take anything away from our time together tonight, I want it to be a level of focus on initiatives that improve government efficiency, to keep costs low and improve affordability. We cannot burden future generations with the unnecessary cost of bad decision-making and ineffective leadership. To that end, there is another challenge facing our island that is just as serious, with significant cost of living consequences: the future of waste disposal on Oʻahu. For years now, the city has been focused on new technologies that will one day largely reduce, if not eliminate, our need for a major landfill. But those technologies simply do not exist today at the scale of our daily, monthly, and annual waste numbers. Collectively, we generate 1.5 million tons of solid waste every year. 1.5 million tons of solid waste every year. And that trash must go somewhere. Finding a location for a new landfill has quickly become one of the most difficult infrastructure challenges this city has ever faced. Now, I made a commitment, and one that I still believe in, to not locate Oahu's next landfill on the Waianae coast. It is just plain wrong. It is just plain wrong. But the city's hand is being forced by rules and laws that ignore our capacity to build a safe, state-of-the-art landfill. A landfill that would be EPA compliant to all toxic landfill standards, not to mention one that will increasingly accept ash instead of bulk waste at reduced volumes over time. So here we are today, with a landfill crisis on our doorstep. Waianae Gauch has only a few years of capacity remaining, and planning for the next facility, that should have begun long before we ever took office. Instead, we have spent the entirety of my time as mayor exploring every possible solution. And now all we get is more rules and laws telling us what we cannot do versus what we can do. Another landfill on the Waianae coast may be acceptable to some, but it is not acceptable to me or to the city. Oʻahu must have a landfill, and we have no more stones to turn over. Right now, we are out of options, except the one I reject, another landfill on the Waianae coast. Shipping our trash is not realistic, and it would be hugely expensive to you, the taxpayer. It is not a real solution. So we need the legislature's help in this. To our legislative partners, even if it's a bitter pill, we need you to share in this responsibility with us. We cannot do it without you. This is a responsibility we owe to future generations, and our residents are counting on us. If we are committed to keeping costs low, to making Hawaii more affordable, if that is truly what matters to us, we have to be willing to make tough decisions. Now, building a city that works for our residents means more than infrastructure projects and economic growth. It also means making sure we are addressing the most urgent human challenges facing our communities, including homelessness. Now, we've gotten smarter about how we find people in need and how we deliver the services they need to get off the streets. From the very beginning, the focus of this administration has been on getting people and families off the streets and into treatment beds and shelters where we can provide an appropriate level of care, especially for mental illness, drug and alcohol addiction, or physical ailments. To do that, we invested in CORE, our crisis outreach team, to engage and triage the chronically homeless. We invested in properties, and the governor invested in wraparound services to ensure we had treatment beds available. Waikiki Vista, Iwilei Center, Leahi Hospital, A'ala Respite, Hau'ula Family Center, not to mention the hundreds of kala'e provided by Governor Green and his team. We invested in environments where our most vulnerable neighbors could be treated safely and effectively. And we've helped reduce the tremendous burden being placed on EMS, on law enforcement, and on our overcrowded emergency rooms. Our collaborative partnership with the state and service providers has made us more effective and more efficient than at any other point during my time in office. On this stage last year, I said our goal was to help at least 1,000 people get off the streets and into treatment. Tonight, I can report the actual number. We doubled it, 2,000 people, and I'm very proud of that. And we're getting better by the day, and I can tell you right now, the results are visible across our community. Our streets look different. They feel different. And behind those numbers are some remarkable success stories. Last year, I told you about Kumu Oʻahu, our groundbreaking shelter that focuses on brain health and cognitive function. To date, every single person who received treatment through that program remains housed today. Not a single one has ended up back on the streets. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I want to be clear about this. At this moment in time, innovation is just as important as compassion. Not just with individual shelters, but with our entire approach. We need to know in real time when the demographic of our homeless population is changing so that our strategy can evolve. Now, the city is bringing online a command center that tracks homeless resources, including bed availability, with up-to-the-minute data, along with the financial impacts of our efforts. Ultimately, every person we can help move into housing means one less person relying on emergency services, one less phone call to our first responders. And we are getting better by the day, and when we reduce that strain, we lower costs for everyone. Governor Green, I cannot thank you enough for your leadership, your unwavering support, and for sharing a vision of how we treat our homeless. Aggressively, humanely, and with purpose. God bless you, sir. And finally, to our service providers and to the key city and state contributors to our homeless working group, to you I say, bravo, great job. Mahalo for all that you do and your continued commitment and tireless work to help those truly less fortunate. Now I want to bring us back to where we started tonight. Time is money. And everything we do at the city is connected to the cost of living on Oahu. Every decision that we make, every system we fix has a real-world impact on affordability for you and your family. When we deregulate, when we modernize our permitting systems, we reduce what it costs to build housing. When housing costs less, we build more, and we create more jobs in the process. When we eliminate waste, when we cut red tape, when we move faster, your families pay less. It's that simple. And this is what our team is focused on, driving change in city government that makes Honolulu more affordable, change that survives long after our time in office. Now, the work is not done. We still have young professionals, teachers, nurses, first responders, looking at the cost of living and wondering if they can afford to stay. Every one of us knows someone who has left, a son, a daughter, a friend, who wanted to stay but couldn't make the numbers work. I said it at the beginning of this speech. I want to say it once more. Our ultimate priority is to keep our residents here at home. So if you're watching with your family tonight, I want you to hear this from me. We reject a world in which you have to choose between your home and your future. We believe in a city where you can have both. A city where government works for you, not against you. A city where your children, your grandchildren, will be able to build lives and raise families in the place they love more than anywhere on earth. That city is not a fantasy. It is the city we are building. It is the future we are fighting for. And it is the promise we will keep. God bless you all. Thank you for being here tonight.
Mahalo for attending the State of the City address. Mayor Rick Blangiardi will remain in the auditorium for a few moments to greet his guests. Mahalo, and please drive home carefully.